Yo, what up guys, Travic here, and today I want to showcase a video I put together that I think is really cool. I actually recorded while I was live all of the bosses as I played through them, and I was going to give you this really cool live reaction of everything, so I lost some audio, so we're going to do B-roll audio, and I'm going to talk about all the boss fights, my experience as a monk, how Act 1 went, and overall just, what's going on in Act 1. First off, to begin with, Act 1 is really difficult, especially not knowing what I'm doing, stepping foot into the game for the first time. Act 1 was an absolute beautiful nightmare, and I don't call it a nightmare like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever, but just the mess of what you needed to do, how you needed to figure out what the bosses were doing was stunning. It was awesome. It was wonderful. I enjoyed every single minute of it, and I just kind of wanted to run through all the bosses with you guys. To begin, you start on the beach and you come across the Bloated Miller. This guy was an absolute powerhouse right out of the gates with a basic attack. I think if you take a bad first starting attack, you're in for a rough time, but I took this Tempest Strike. It was a lot of fun. You can see my monkey's just whacking in the air. He's dipping and diving, and overall the boss in itself was, once you understood the attack patterns, he was pretty simple. You see he charges up, he dashes at you, you move out of the way. Very similar to Hillock and Path of Exile 1. I'm assuming after we do this fight 2, 3, 4,000 times, we'll know exactly which way, how to sidestep it, where to go. But overall, he was an absolute blast to fight. Very reminiscent of Path of Exile 1. Very good combat with him. And just really super predictable fight. A little difficult at first on the monk. I really didn't know what I was doing, how to really handle the monk, how to position, how to move. I was over complicating things. You see I'm dodging probably way more than I have to. I could probably actually just walk around him. And overall the fight in itself was pretty simple. What the heck am I even doing there? Why did I panicked? I shut off my webcam at one point. I didn't know what was going on. But overall, fighting this guy was an absolute blast. I loved every minute of it, and it felt really rewarding to kill him. I guess, cut the video a 1/10 of a second short there when I was putting it together. Next up on the list, we have the Devourer. The Devourer was an underground worm that was just really simple, really straightforward. Don't stand in the poison. Don't go near the moving tail. He's gonna run all around. You just go up to him and you just give him a couple of whacks with your stick, and it was an absolute straightforward fight. The biggest thing that I noticed while going through Path of Exile 1 is if you don't constantly, especially as a melee character, don't constantly upgrade your weapon, you do no damage at all. You see my monk is hitting so hard, so absolutely hard. It was insane. I found a couple of augs and alts. I upgraded my weapon, and I just gave this worm the absolute business, no problems at all. Even got an uncut skill gem for my time, some extra gear, and we were moving right along to the next fight. We come across to the Brambleghast, and this thing was a big ass tree. I'm telling you, the first time I walked in this guy, I didn't know what I was doing. He did this ground slam with his fist, and this little purple orb, he instant killed me. As soon as I walked into this fight, he just absolutely positively demolished me. But after seeing the fact that he will just slam the ground and you will just die, and that purple orb will just deal infinite amounts of damage, it was really easy to understand, hey, these attacks are really dodgeable. See, that big purple explosion, just to go back for a second, you can see he charges up right here. He's charging up his fist. He's rearing in the air. He's summoning his little vines, and he's hitting the ground. The first time you see these fights and the first time you see these, they are really difficult. They are really hard. They are very overwhelming and very frustrating. But the thing that I noticed very quickly going through Act 1 and competing, or, competing with myself and the bosses, is a lot of these attacks are very predictable. They are very well telegraphed. And if you just, do the fight, like a typical Path of Exile a couple of times, you'll start to see the pattern and the rhythm of how the boss is acting. And they weren't very difficult. Bosses in themselves, yeah, they're the first 2-3 attempts, you're just what the heck is going on? But after you start to see what's going on, it's relatively straightforward. Now moving along, we have the Rust King, and the Rust King, the first time I fought him, I got him down to 5%. He immediately killed me, and I didn't know what to do. But him too, another boss that is just very basic and very straightforward once you start to see what's going on. You see right there, he takes his little rust swords, he puts them in the air, you dodge right out of the way, and that's the entirety of the fight. You hit him hard, he gets staggered, he goes down on one knee, and all he constantly does is these rust swords in the air, and he drops them on you, and all you need to do is move out of the way. Eventually he gets an ad phase, he throws more swords at you, and you just gather up the mobs, you AoE them down, you hit him, and no problems whatsoever. The Rust King in itself was a really cool fight, and all you just need to do is dodge these extremely telegraphed swords, and you won't have any problems. Now, this Druid was a problem. I didn't realize those pools in the middle were going to deal. Those little mushrooms were big ass poison mushrooms. But this is a boss from Path of Exile 1. I've seen this guy before, so I knew right away what to do. And all you need to do is dodge that laser beam attack, don't stand in the circle, and don't go in the middle. If you just follow those 3 simple rules, this guy relatively straightforward and easy. The biggest thing to recommend and say constantly in Act 1 was upgrade your gear. If you got a Regal, use it. If you got an AUG, use it. If you had a piece of rare gear, Exalt Slam it. Just constantly upgrade your gear, and the fights in themselves will be so much simpler. You see, all you do is dodge out of the middle, dodge out of the circles, don't stand in the laser beams, and the fight in itself, not too bad. His basic attacks don't hit very hard, but when you get staggered by like 4,000 different things, it's more or less a little bit on the difficult side. I even got rewarded with a rune, an uncut gem, and a bow. It was absolutely fantastic. Moving along, Asinia. This fight was a little bit more difficult. She hit a lot harder, and it was a little bit more unpredictable. You see, she does 3 round circles. That's the entire fight. Dodge out of the circles, don't stand in them, hit her, and boom. Very straightforward once again. A lot of the bosses in Act 1 seem to follow this very simple pattern. They basic attacks don't hit hard. They put a big circle like that bone wall circle. Get out of the circle. That's it. A lot of these fights, the first 2 or 3 times you do them, they're very overwhelming. They're very complicated, but it literally don't stand in the circle. If Sirius has taught us anything, it's just run out of the circle. Sirius being a boss in Path of Exile 1. And you see, my monk was able to really shred through these bosses. I upgraded this absolutely beautiful staff. I took a couple of damage nodes on the tree, and none of the fights were really too challenging. The only time I actually really struggled was the act boss of Act 2, because I did it after like streaming for so many hours and I was super tired. But all of these bosses, a little bit of focus, a little bit of dodge out of the circles, and I was pretty much cruising. The biggest thing and the biggest takeaway, once again, is I needed to learn to accept to upgrade my gear and use my currency. Path of Exile 1 teaches us to spend our currency, and Path of Exile 1 teaches us to hoard our currency. But as soon as you start spending your currency and upgrading your gear, you're in for a better time. Now, this boss was an absolute pain in the butt. He hits probably way too hard and should probably be nerfed. There's not a lot of room for error on this guy. And you see, every single hit from him is an absolute powerhouse. I did eventually notice that he was on the slower side of things, but you do need to dodge the spirits that he's summoning, because those spirits will indeed end your entire existence. His ground slam is very slow. He hits in front of him, he hits behind him, he does not hit side to side. And as long as you stay on his sides, which is something I should have done, you'll be in for a better treat. Would you like to say hello? Yeah, we're talking, look at the bosses. But overall, this is probably the hardest of the fights in Act 1 outside of the Act boss, simply due to the nature that I think this boss is slightly overtuned and hits a little too hard. But, you know, you dodge the spirits, you just keep rolling around a little bit, you'll be relatively okay. I did also know that the environment in Path of Exile 1 is a huge factor in what you should do. You see, I start to kite this guy around the monument. He is very slow moving, he gets stuck on the corners, and just using my environment too was an absolute fantastic idea. Now, the Crowbell, I think he was just a random little side area boss. I don't know, I hit him with the stick a whole bunch of times. Overall, the fight in itself really cool, but he wasn't too much of a threat. You know, I just hit him, and then he just decided to take a hike. I think he followed the monkey from the early access preview and just kind of ran away, and I just chased him down. Eventually he gets to this wall, and you just kind of keep hitting him, and he just doesn't know what he's doing. He tries to hit you, he doesn't really do anything, he doesn't really hurt, and then you just keep hitting him and hitting him and hitting him, and then he gets stunned, and I don't know, man. He's gonna grab a bell in like a second, and he's gonna like run away again. And yeah, it was really awkward. I will say I do enjoy the phasing in this game of the bosses a lot more. I like that they like, it's more obvious that they're phasing, and there's like now we're like chasing him down into a new arena. I thought that was really cool. I'm sure that gets annoying after a while, but like for the first couple of times, like the first couple of times you do it, I think it's really cool. I like bringing him into the arena. I like fighting him here. I think him using a bell versus my bell, obviously the monk has the better bell. He just got, you know, absolutely deleted. King of the Mist, very similar to Path of Exile 1. Nothing's changed. King of the Mist is literally King of the Mist. If you've done King of the Mist in Path of Exile 1, you've done King of the Mist here. The first phase of King of the Mist, very straightforward. Dodge the purple that he's going to do. The attacks are very slow. They are extremely telegraphed. You just hit him, he teleports away. You get on top of him, and you just keep hitting him. Eventually, though, he's going to put these debuffs on you. You saw I was checking the debuff there a minute ago. If we go back and replay this, you see I'm going to go check this debuff up here. And the King of the Mist will give you talking points about these debuffs. And you'll see this one is Shadow Purge. I'm eventually going to clear it. I'm going to be looking for a totem. There's a totem blinking on the south side of my screen. Eventually, I'm going to make my way over there. I'm going to kill it. The King of the Mist will just summon random little totems. It's right there. I'm eventually going to notice it and go over there, and I'm going to kill the Affliction totem. My problems are going to be solved. He summons another one. I kill it. And the first phase is literally just taking care of the totems, not stressing over what's going on, beating him down, and eventually he'll transform. The sad part about King of the Mist and Path of Exile 2 is we lose that really cool maze encounter. I'm hoping that shows up later on in the accent and the campaigns. But in the end game, I should say, not in the campaigns, but in the campaign, it's a very straightforward fight. You just DPS him down, dodge the purple, kill the totems, and eventually he transforms. The fight gets a little bit more difficult when he transforms. He has two major moves he's going to do. One where he tells you to keep running, and one where he tells you to stop running. Eventually, you're going to get these debuffs on you. You see one up there. It tells me to stop moving or you'll be imprisoned. You see my character actually got imprisoned because I forgot the red was on me. I get imprisoned. I luckily dodge his attack because I wasn't on top of him, and it just goes smooth. He'll tell you stop moving or keep moving. You do what he says. You stop moving, you keep moving. The debuff wears off, and you just go back to straight DPSing him. I think in this video, he tells me to start running. You'll see I'll start running in a second. And you just, that's it. You know, especially as the monk, we have such heavy attacks that it was very easy to stagger the bosses. It was very easy to armor break them. And the DPS windows, when they were armor broken, were absolutely super fun. Like, it was a great time to, you know, realize like, this is the window. I should start attacking. He's stunned. Now, moving over to everybody's favorite, this was Draven. Draven was, he reminded me a lot of All from Path of Exile 1 or the Starfall encounter, where you just have to stay behind him the entire time. His attacks are very, very, very slow. He does big right there, big frontal cones. You just roll behind him the entire time. And as long as you stay behind him, you will be relatively okay. Eventually, he summons his sister in this fight, which we fought earlier, Anissa, and she puts those 3 big circles on the ground, dodge the circles, constantly get behind him, and you really shouldn't have too much of a problem. You see, we have the DPS window again here. We staggered him, and we just big damage through the DPS window. You see these souls are trying to power him up. They do a little bit of damage to you. You dodge the souls. You stay behind him. He pushes everything away. Hit him with the bell. Boom, baby. Done. Easy peasy. The Executioner, this fight was brutal. This fight was absolutely brutal. The first time I did this fight and he jumped off the stage, he did a move called Execution where he dropped an anvil on me and immediately killed me. This fight, just like every other fight, stay behind him. Constantly behind the bosses. The bosses have slow frontal attacks. They will hit in front of them and they will stay hitting in front of them. So as long as you stay relatively behind them, you will be okay. You see he's charging up. We move out of the way. Big slam of the fireball. And that, once again, is another mechanic that you see if we go back into the fight here. He will literally just charge it up. You'll see 1 sec. He'll turn around. There's the big red flash. There's the charge up. We move out of the way. And just very straightforward. Once you see these attacks the first time, they're pretty predictable and very easy to dodge. He says to Execution, there he goes. He blinks again, red. And whenever the bosses flash red, they're going to do these very slow timed attacks that give you plenty of time to move out of the way. And that's all you need to do. You just hit them during their downtimes between attacks, and you take advantage of your DPS windows. Overall, I think the Executioner was an absolutely fantastic fight. I really enjoyed it. Right there, there's the execution move. You see he kicks the ground. He'll do it in a second. He's panning up. He hits the ground. There's a big circle here. This will just one-shot you. That like literally one-shotted me. And just move out of the way of that and you'll be fine. That is the entire fight, the entirety of the fight. Very well done, a very enjoyable encounter. I like I said, I enjoyed every single one of these fights so much. They were just out of this world. I can't believe how well done all of these were. Like, it was an absolute masterpiece for the fights. Just great. The biggest thing too, you see I start to panic. I'm too worried about the ads. If I just got in there and just circled around everything and just hit him, this fight would have ended. A lot of these fights, they really are, they're DPS checks, and you'll just be fine if you just get in there and hit the boss. Now, moving on over to the last fight. This one I actually had audio for. We move on over to the last fight, the Act 1 boss. This fight was absolutely beautiful. I loved every minute of this fight. This boss jumps down and starts off in human form. His human form, not very difficult at all. The Mad Wolf is just absolutely so straightforward. He just has these really slow attacks in human form. They don't do a whole lot of damage. Your life flask will sustain you the entire time. And, you know, you see he charges up there, you move out of the way, you bring him to a corner, you take advantage of your DPS windows, and I didn't have too much of a problem with him. You actually see here, I actually have full spirit. I didn't even have my aura equipped because I didn't know how to turn the aura on when I fought him. So I was missing a buttload of DPS and damage. Now, eventually he'll turn into a wolf. Well, this is really cool. He has a frontal attack that hits very hard. He will summon these ice cubes here. They will put ice all over the floor. You can actually stand anywhere these ice, or anywhere that this ice is not, and dodge it completely, and none of these will even hit you. You see right there, problem solved, easy. He eventually also goes in the air just like that. Another big red circle that you dodge out of. During the fight though, this boss does have ad phases. You see here, he summons a big wall of fog and mist. Some ads pop out, and you just DPS down the ads. You stay out of the fog. It's like the Veritania fight from Path of Exile 1. The ads you see eventually every so often, I just auto attack them. They don't have much health at all. They pretty much just fall right over. And it becomes very easy to just DPS down the ads. They push me into the fog. I come out of the fog. I hit my life flask. I do my AoE attacks, and I just start killing them. Eventually, he desummons the ads, and he goes back into the same thing. He has a frontal attack of Ice Breath. You stay behind him, no problem. He does the ice thing again. You move out of the way of the ice, and you don't have a whole lot of issues. The biggest, hardest attack that he's going to do is he's going to raise his sword in the air like this and summon these lightning bolts. These lightning bolts will hit you. You're actually going to see I'm going to get hit by this bolt in a minute. It's going to freeze me, and then he's going to once again right on top of you lightning bolt again, and then lightning bolt again. He does this 3 or 4 times. They're very easy to dodge if you know they're coming. They will follow your character, move out of the way, run out of the way, and once again rinse and repeat the same thing. Stay behind him. Don't let him hit you in the front. Move constantly behind him again. Dodge his ice attack. If you have anything that gives you cold resistance, you'll be in a great place. And just roll out of the laser beams or move out of the laser beams. It doesn't really get hard until now, the last 25%. You'll see he's going to phase again in a minute. He's going to summon more of his ads, and that's where things start to get a little bit more on the difficult side. In this phase, the ads are a little bit more aggressive. You get some more ads, but you see my basic swinging attack is clearing the ads, no problem. This phase really becomes a DPS check. If you just don't have the damage to deal with the ads, you get overrun. If you're finding yourself not having enough damage, just leave the area, go back, farm some currency, upgrade your gear, upgrade your gear, upgrade your gear. I can't emphasize this enough, to constantly upgrade your gear. Upgrade your gear, upgrade your gear, upgrade your gear. As soon as you have the gear upgraded, you get through the phase, you see he desummons everything, and this is where things get a little bit more sketchy. You see right there, he puts his sword up in the air again to do the laser beams, but this time they are indeed blood laser beams. Then I get hit by one because I wasn't expecting this. He puts a bleed on you. You see my health pool here. My health pool, I got hit for 300 damage. these bleeds will kill you. You need to dodge these. He does this 3 times, 4 times. You move out of it, and then it's just a rinse and repeat from there out. He will eventually get quicker and more aggressive with these attacks, where you see he does the blood thing there into the ice wall, and all you need to do is just keep cool, keep calm, and move out of the way. I tanked that final hit because I know I can kill him, and that's it. That's the whole fight. That's all of Act 1 and all the major bosses. There was a witch that was really early in Act 1 that I fought too early that I just needed to upgrade my weapon. But overall, Act 1 was an absolute beautiful act and fantastic experience. I loved my entire time doing it. I'm very grateful for GGG. Thank you for making such a beautiful act and, you know, going forward. Act 2, whole nother story. My God, Act 2. But we'll save that for the next one. Friends, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, share, do all that fun stuff. But I hope this video helped you guys with my beautiful monk point of view. For now, friends, I'm going to get this video out to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.